I have a formal program. I know some coaches had like this is 12-step, 20-step, 6 sessions. I just prefer, because of my years of experience, I know that not some people, a lot of people don't fit into certain programs. So I know that in terms of packaging my offers, it would be easier for me in terms of even like steady income and like logistically would be easier for me. But some people, they come and what they need is like 3 sessions. Other people, what they need is 20 sessions.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Rexhen, and today's guest is Kanica, an executive coach who's redefining what it means to be a high performer, not just in the boardroom, but in relationships and personal well-being. As the founder of Sofa Sexology, Kanica works with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and visionaries to help them navigate the intimate side of leadership, guiding them through the pressures of success while building deeper and more fulfilling relationships. With a background in sexology from the University of Quebec in Montreal and executive coaching training from Harvard, Kanica brings a rare and powerful blend of emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and human insight to her coaching. Her work tackles sensitive conversations from intimacy and performance pressure to work-life integration with empathy, clarity, and a bold commitment to authenticity. And it's a pleasure for me to have her on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Kanica.
Hi, Rexhen. Thank you so much for that introduction. And it always makes me laugh when people try to pronounce Le Sofa Sexologique, but that was your French lesson for today, and I'm giving you an A.
Thank you for that. I'm originally from Europe, so I'm located in Albania, so I get used to listening to a little bit of French, a little bit of Italian, kind of like get a little bit of that. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to how you started your coaching business, since you have a very unique setup, first of all, what inspired you to do this and start your coaching business?
So yeah, it's different from most coaches, I assume. I'm a therapist to begin with. And when I started my private practice as a therapist, I would be on a lot of Facebook groups of American therapists, because Americans have their relationship with money is really different than where I'm from. So they would help me like just set up, I would be on these groups to help me set up my business. And I would see that a lot of American therapists had a dual practice, a practice as a therapist and a practice as a coach. In the beginning, I gotta admit, I didn't really understand why they would do that. A few years later, I decided to take a certification in Harvard for executive coaching. And I go there and I realize, oh, this is what they meant by coaching. I didn't know what coaching was, because the way that we are taught coaching in university, it's pretty we look down on coaching. I'm not saying it's like that everywhere. I'm just saying like where I studied as a therapist, they would tell us like, oh, coaching is like they're scammers. They do it in their basement. They're like life coaches. Anybody can call themselves a life coach. So I was really brainwashed with all that idea. So I went to Harvard. I met a bunch of coaches and I figured, oh no, this is first of all, it's completely legitimate. They change life. They're transformational. They're really professional. And I had met also 2 other therapists like me, psychologists, who were just like me transitioning to coaching. So then I remembered, oh, that's why on the Facebook groups, a lot of American coaches therapists were also doing coaching as a dual practice, because I understood that when you're a therapist, you know how to do coaching. Basically, it's like a subset of therapy. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how I got started into coaching, knowing that coaching, you work with, it's less, I'm going to put it this way, it's less heavy, because when you do coaching, it's not mental help. It's not psychological treatment. So I've always enjoyed doing the more, I'm going to say lighter. It doesn't mean that the problems are easier or lighter. It's just that it's lighter than to work with someone who has been, let's say, abused, sex trafficking, drug, all the big things that we're used to do as a therapist. So that's how long answer, sure, that's how I started the coaching thing. And it fits more my personality. And yeah.
Interesting. It makes a lot of sense. What you said is a very natural pursuit for every therapist to also be a coach, because I would say they're more than qualified to be a coach.
Mhm.
Most of the time, like I said, it's a subset. Therapists, oftentimes coaches, when they face a problem with a client, will often send the client to a therapist because they're not qualified to cover certain topics. While in that case, you're not limited. You can go beyond just coaching. You can go into actually providing therapy for the client, going deeper into the issue. And yeah, I totally see that that is a very natural addition to what you're offering. So right now with your therapy and coaching business, when it comes to the clients that you work with, we mentioned executive coaching in the intro. How would you describe the ideal client profile? Is it only executives? Is there a certain industry or a certain demographic? I'm wondering if there's like a mixture of what the clients are for therapy and what the clients are for coaching, or if there's actually the same type of ideal client profile.
So I'm located in Montreal in Canada, and I'm guessing people don't know, but we have a big like startup community here. And I used to be, before being in this field, sexology, I was a military for 5 years. So I was 5 years in the Canadian Forces. And because of that, it really tainted the way that I work as a therapist and as a coach. I'm very direct. It's very people, my clients tell me, oh, you're so different than from other psychologists that I've been to. And with time, I don't know what's written on my face or in my forehead, I got a lot of people in finance, startups, VC. So, and then I understood, oh, I really click with them. It works. I'm very efficient with them just because I understand what it's like to be in the performance mindset, the performance world, KPIs, and knowing, being objective driven, all the while knowing the skills, all the while knowing, having my therapist's 3D lens on things, knowing when to apply which tools in which situation with which client. That really helps me a lot. So I wouldn't say that I'm limited in terms of like field. It's just that if I look at my agenda right now, is a lot of finance, bankers, VC, startup people, and I love it. Okay, I'm not saying I don't do anything else, and it's just that I love it. Why? Because it often attracts a certain type of personality, competitive, but super fun at the same time. But I obviously accept anyone who just fits my style. So I have a podcast in French, and people most of the time they find me, like they'll listen to a few of my podcasts, and if they listen to my podcast and then book a session with me, I already know that we're going to click. So I work with a lot of entrepreneurs from every field. I could be bars, restaurants, real estate, artists as well, and the military, police. Yeah, entrepreneurs in general, I think would be the best thing. And if they're not, I don't know the word in English, if they're not salarié, if they're not working for someone else, sorry, if they are salarié, they're working for a big company, they're most of the time they're like C-suits, execs, executive.
Interesting. So just like you said, is mostly these performance driven individuals that you typically find in,
Mhm.
in working with you. So, how is it like you mentioned you're very direct with your clients. So how is it like to work with you? I would like to know about your programs. Is there a certain program of a certain length? How is like the engagement? Because like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be some leaders who are going to be listening to this podcast as well that just want to know how it's like to work with you. How would you describe that?
So I wouldn't say that I have a formal program. I know some coaches had like this is 12 step, 20 step, 6 sessions. I just prefer, because of my years of experience, I know that not some people, a lot of people don't fit into certain programs. So I know that in terms of packaging my offers, it would be easier for me in terms of even like steady income, and like logistically would be easier for me. But some people, they come and what they need is like 3 sessions. Other people, what they need is 20 sessions. And it really depends on every individual. But what I do tell them, first session is all the same speech, is so I'll have like a brief overview of whatever they come in their objective. And I'll tell them, okay, if this is your objective, you should budget and like between this and this amount of session. And when I say budget, I don't even mean just money. You have to budget your time, your financial money, and also energy. Like those are the 3 resources that people need to budget when they want to start some sort of personal development journey, either coaching and therapy. So what it looks like with me is that nothing happens in one session, like nothing. Some people, when they've never had experience in therapy or coaching, some people have this idea of like, I'm like a doctor. They come in, they say, oh, this, and they're waiting for me to give like a prescription. So I tell them right away, like there's no solution in one session. But after hearing that this is your objective, for example, saving your failing marriage after you've been in this situation for 20 years, I'm good at my job, but I'm not a magician. So it's going to take at least from like 2 to 3 months, let's say 2 to 3 months, seeing each other every week. I'll have to speak to your wife at some point, things like that. So I like to give them, it's like a ballpark, no guarantees, but a ballpark.
Interesting.
And if, I could add to that, and then I asked them, like, what do you think about that? Do you have the time right now? Do you have time, money, energy? And if you don't, maybe next year would be better. I don't let clients start with me if I know that they're not invested in the momentum that we're starting, because momentum is really important.
Yeah, exactly. And like you mentioned, if it's like a complicated topic, you give them an expectation of how many sessions they can expect to work with you, so that they kind of know how the engagement. So basically, there's programs where it's just like very customized to the person that you're speaking with, and you kind of understand what their program will be like once you've spoken with them on the first call.
And I think it's because of, I can assess quickly because of just the experience I've had in the past. And that I think it would be, for me, I'm just speaking for myself, right? I think it would be doing the service to try to fit all of my clients into like 3 programs. It would be way easier for me though. But because I used to want to implement that, but then I would like have new clients and be like, oh, if I had forced you into one of these 3 programs, it wouldn't work with this person, because in a few weeks later, it completely changed, or we had new information, or this happened in their life and the priority changed, things like that.
So is it all one-to-one coaching, or do you also have like group coaching or things like that?
No. So I've thought about group coaching. I've thought about classes. Right now, I'm trying, even though I want to diversify my income, and I'm trying to slowly but surely take myself out from the one-on-one practice. Right now, I still do one-on-one or couples counseling, so like 3, okay, one to 2, because I feel like I want to. How can I put this? If I try developing other offers would require time and testing, which I don't want to do right now because I don't believe in it. Like, what I'm doing right now works. Do I want to be doing that for the rest of my life? No, just because it ties a lot of my time into coaching, even though I love coaching. So I know that I can't spread myself too much right now. Why? Because I have a book coming out later this year. So I'm going into the writing world right now. In one of your previous podcasts, I was listening to the guest say that she wants to like scale her impact. So the way that I want to scale my impact and gain back time and give myself time freedom and financial freedom, right now I'm going more into writing, TV, which I'm already in that field in my province. So I'm not trying to put more energy into diversifying my offers, because I'm already giving a lot of my energy into the writing, the scripts, and I'm trying to get it more into TV and radio and things like that.
Interesting. And I want to talk about those too, but actually this ties very naturally to the other question that I have is, where do people find you, or where do you find people in terms of like marketing channels? What is working very well for you right now?
Right now versus when I started. So when I started was solely a therapist. What really worked, which would be the same that I would do now if I was starting fresh as a coach, is Google ads. So I wouldn't, like, for me, Instagram, LinkedIn. I know a lot of coaches found on LinkedIn. I didn't need to do that. And Google was just efficient for me. So I would put $1,000 in ads. And at that time, it would make me 10 grand per month. So the math was mathing up. Okay. And so I didn't need to. And I know, why would I pay when I can develop my ASO? I'm like, I know, but it's just like right now, this is working for me. So I did that for a lot of years, was working well. Now I don't, because of the SEO with time, it's been more than 5 years. So I still have the same amount of demands, let's say, of like requests, without putting money anymore, because of the SEO that is naturally, even if it was paid, now it's become more organic. And I want to tell people, like, don't be afraid of putting money, even if online or other people will tell you like, no, you want the organic thing. Like, I'm like, yeah, but if it works really well, why not? It's just a good use of my time. It's a good leverage. And if people want to go down that route, it's just efficient, because when people go on Google, they're really close to buying anyway. Whereas LinkedIn or Instagram, like especially Instagram, most people on Instagram are just there to like educational. They want like educational content, especially in my field. So I'm like, when you search for a dentist or a lawyer, you don't go on Instagram. You'll just go on Google right now. Okay, so I'm gonna go where clients are eager to buy. And if you're gonna go the Google Ads route, don't do it yourself. That's my suggestion. I'm quite tech savvy, so I used to think that I could do it myself, but no. When you go to an agency, they're pros. They know what they're doing. I have, I think, 32 different campaigns. They do A/B testing. I wouldn't have done that myself, even if I'm pretty, like, I like to believe that I can self-taught and I can YouTube everything. But some things you can't YouTube. You just pay experts. You're gonna get the better leverage is gonna be higher, and you can just concentrate on giving world-class results. And then because of time, world-class results and like transformation, and now it's word of mouth. So people in finance, then they refer me their other like finance friends, let's say, the VC startup in the startup world. They have like great experience. So then then my name becomes synonymous with a solution. So they'll be like, oh, you have problem in your relationship, you're an entrepreneur, go talk to Kanica.
Yeah. Interesting. Over time, so initially it started with Google Ads, then it turned into SEO. Over time, like you increased your SEO, so it just came organic. You didn't need to pay Google Ads anymore. After that, when working with many clients, then eventually, just like there's the referral network that starts to grow as well. So right now, and when we think about the main channel for you right now, is it all organic from Google, or is it also the podcast, or is it just the referrals right now that is the biggest? What would you say is the primary one?
It's still Google. Now it's organic. I would say maybe 60% Google, 40% word of mouth. And the podcast's the thing. Podcast is not, it doesn't get me new clients, but when people are interested and they find me through Google or like word of mouth, then they end up on my podcast because they check me out. And then they're more inclined to book with me.
Interesting. So they go into the podcast to kind of like learn.
Just validate, do they want to work with me? Who's Kanica? Who is this girl? And then it comforts them in the transaction that they're about to make with a new person they've never met. But then they listen to me and they feel like, and they do, like they know the way they work, how I talk. So I think it helps. Like it's sort of like not a promotion. Yeah, it's a promotion, but in terms of like the transaction, the funnel, up the funnel, it helps.
Yeah, and they get to read onto if you have the right energy, kind of like if they match the energy with you, the
which
way you
they can't exactly, and they can't figure that out by just reading my bio or just reading the things that I've put in on internet, LinkedIn, my website. So yeah, they get a feel of my energy.
Cool, great, amazing. So when thinking about your practice right now and your coaching business, looking to the future for the next 1 to 3 years, do you have any specific goals that you're working towards?
So because of my line of work specifically, so my niche is really relationship and sexology with high achievers, performer. And because of that, I'll talk a lot about love, the importance of love, family, and all that. So I'm like, okay, well, how will my career look like in 1 to 3 years? I hopefully I'll meet someone and start a family. So I want to be working a bit. I'd like to have a more remote-based clientele. So I see a lot of clients in person. This is my office. I see a lot of clients in my office. Although I love the in-person thing and it does changes. It does add something. Being remote gives me more time freedom and also more energy. Because now that I don't have kids right now, so it's okay if I come back home and I'm drained. But when I will have kids, I want to be like my research management strategy will have to change, meaning that I would like to have an 100% like an online.
So
I'm thinking about.
So it's a good, would you say in percentages is about maybe, would you say 80% local and then 20% online or?
No, that's a good percentage. Like 80-20 would be that. And because I'm looking to expand more into, remote, that means that I could have more American clients or Canadian clients from like other provinces or just like the rest of the world, right? That would allow me to still do what I love doing, but while maintaining more energy, basically. And also when we think about like 1 to 3 years, I'm talking only about the coaching practice, but I want my coaching practice to diminish because I'm getting into like projects where my skill is bigger. When we talk about books, what the ideas behind a book is after when the book will come out, I have some TV projects that are lining up. So the goal would be to do things that would impact way more people in the dans le grand public, in the grand public. So not just people who come to see me as clients, but also Joe Blow watching their TV. So I can I can help people reach the love life and the sex life and the intimate life that they deserve.
So when it comes to, you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the book, but you mentioned also radio and TV. How do these come into play?
Yeah, so I was quite lucky that I didn't have to go and search for these opportunities. They came to me. And because, like I said before, I can't strategically put my energy in everything. In the last few years, I've put it all on therapy and coaching. But now I'm at a point where I feel that my talent, I feel like I've accumulated a lot of insights, knowledge, and experiences that when I keep them to myself or only to my clients who I see one on one, I feel like it's almost criminal. Because with the things that I know, with the knowledge, the insights that I've accumulated, I know that it can help a lot of people just improve their life, their relationship, their happiness. So that's why now I'm really more transitioning into mediums that reaches a grander audience. So I used to hold a segment, have a segment on national radio, but then like it was a few hours per every 2 weeks. So now I want to. My goal is to double down and really work, just do more, reach a grander audience while retaining my income. So TV, radio, that's I'll look at that after the book comes out, and I have like projects lined up in that regards, and also being a speaker. So being a speaker means that I could like do conferences and I would reach 50, 100%. So that's already more than one-on-one or 1 to 2, you know?
Yeah, from what I've gathered by interviewing a lot of coaches, is actually speaking does get you a lot more clients in terms of like conversion compared to other channels as well. Just a lot of people um, build that trust seeing you on stage and listening to the value that you share. So a lot of that conversion happens on speaking as well. So it's a very good approach and very original approach when you mentioned after the book going for the radio and TV. That is something that I haven't seen coaches that I've interviewed so far do. So I'm interested in seeing how that's going to go, but definitely an interesting approach.
And the thing I think I got to mention is that when people like coaches publish books, sometimes, or maybe most of the time, it's self-publishing. What that means is that yes, they make more money because of the royalties, but they're not part of like the traditional media system. Whereas it's always been a dream for me to be published in a traditional way, meaning that I get way less money in terms of revenue, of royalty, but it puts my foot in the door in the whole media landscape in Canada. And I already was doing TV and radio. It's just that I pushed that to the side because it didn't make me as much money as I wanted to compare to coaching and therapy. But now that my objective and my goals and my motivations are different, and knowing that I have a book, the book coming out, it'll make more sense to promote that. It's not just like I've intentionally did that. By choosing the traditional publisher, they will put me on in certain spheres where then I'll be able to develop projects.
Cool. So that is a cool idea. So it's going to be the publisher who's going to make these connections. So it's kind of like easier versus having to research all of that on your own. Yeah.
But that's why you got to be strategic about it. I'm getting less money with this traditionally published book because I know that it's going to get me way more traditional media exposure.
And the goal is not really to make revenue with the book, is for you to get clients on the coaching and on your therapy, right?
Not even, because I don't need new clients right now. My system is already working. I'm trying to. So ideally, I would have like 5 clients per week in terms of coaching and therapy. What I want to be doing more is like really, making an impact. And I think it's through my writing. So not just book, but I'm also talking about the writing scripts for TV shows and movies. So that's like another, like it's almost not coaching anymore, but I still want to remain a coach. And when you said that speaking, the high conversion rate is high, well, good, because what is probably going to happen is just going to increase my rate so that only like a few people are going to be able to afford my services, because I know, and also I know that when people come and see me and they need to save their marriage, I know I can help with that.
Yeah. Cool. Amazing. And so when are you thinking the book is going to go out?
It's set to be published October 20th.
Nice.
And I just cannot wait. Rexhen, I cannot
wait.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I also wanted to ask in terms of investments, because there's obviously quite a few investments you've made over the time that you've been a coach. Is there any investment that you feel good about? You feel like you've gotten a good return from that investment? We did mention Google Ads initially, but there could be also other investments, either investments in yourself or investments in the coaching business that you feel very good about. And are there also investments that you don't feel so good about, that you feel like kind of either was not a good use of your time or is just like did not return anything from that investment?
Yeah. First one that comes to mind is having a group practice. So when you start out, you're a solo practitioner, and then what people tell you, and with the books, the business books are about like grow your practice, grow a team, hire a team. So I did that for a couple of years, and I just really disliked it, Rexhen. It really wasn't my thing. Maybe it's because I used to be in the military, so my work ethic and my expectations are higher, different. I really didn't have a good time. And then people would say like, "Oh, but then of course, and you need to hire this person, this HR people." I'm like, "Yeah, but do you understand that this is just all costing me money?" Okay, and it's a bet, and I don't even believe in that bet. Like truth, like in my gut feeling, it's like I'm just being drained of my money right now. If I hire this HR lady that's gonna help me with my team and blah, 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 I just didn't believe it. I know that it could. It's just too much of a bet. So I scaled back to being more like a solo practitioner, and I've never made more money than when I came back being a solo practitioner. So I find it kind of weird and funny when you'll go on these groups and the books and they'll be like, grow a team. I'm like, no, growing a team is a completely different job. And maybe you won't even be as profitable as you think it will be. And when other people give, and I've surrounded myself with a lot of business coaches and professionals and, people who've had experience, and just remember that the experience they give you, the advice they give you, they're well-intentioned, but at the end of the day, they're not the one in Hawaii on their vacation thinking about the staff or the problems that they have back home because it's not working the way that you want it to be working. So I really had some sort of aha moment where I was like in Hawaii thinking about one of my staff, and I was like, the cost benefits is not worth it right now. I want to go back to being single and a solo practitioner. So it took me 3 to 4 years of that to be like, I don't think this is for me. Okay. And you have to be really confident in knowing like people, because people are like, oh no, you need to push even more. You'll see like in a couple of years it pay off. Yeah, but first of all, you're not sure. Well, that's the point of entrepreneurship. And second of all, I don't believe in the sacrifices that I have to do right now. Whereas other types of sacrifices that I have to do right now, it makes sense for me, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, that's the first thing I want to tell people. Group practices are not always the best.
Interesting. And right now, with your coaching business and thinking about your goals as well, what would you say is a challenge that you're facing right now that you're trying to solve for short term? Where do you see the bottleneck right now?
Okay, we're getting personal here. It's my scarcity mindset. And so Quebec is a province, but it's a country within a country with different language, with different culture, with different values. The relationship we have with money and the way that I'm a product of my environment. And it's used to playing small. So now that I don't want to play small, but I always have like self-limiting belief that I need to unlock and break so I can get to the next level. And right now, when I told you before, like I want to work remotely, I want to be working with more international clients, I know that rationally is possible. But inside of me, a part of me is like, no, what you have right now is good. So you should stay with your local clientele. And why would you inject more uncertainty and take more risk? Like you've had enough of risk this year, Kanica. Okay, like chill a bit. Your nervous system wants to chill. But at the same time, I know that rationally is possible. So I'm fighting the rational side, but the emotional insecurity side of me. I come from a very modest background. I bought an apartment now, so I'm like my tolerance to risk is maybe different, but I'm still ambitious. I think that the biggest bottleneck is me, which is the case with everybody, with every client. The biggest bottleneck is themselves.
Getting out of your own way, right?
Yeah. Big.
Well, you're not alone in that. Like you said, is an issue that many coaches and many entrepreneurs feel. So it's pretty normal. And yeah, I feel like it's just something that might be the case now, might not be the case next year. It's just something that just changes. So thanks for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, because you're also thinking of impact, what advice would you give to other coaches who are thinking of scaling their impact? And it could be an advice you'd give to yourself.
It's so repetitive. I think not try to, you can do everything, but not everything at the same time. So there is a selection to be made. There is a commitment into, okay, I'm going to try this route. Is there certainty? No, but they're all uncertain. But at least if you commit to one versus diluting your energy into 10 different side projects or side hustles, or so doubling down on one thing. And also another advice to myself, trusting yourself more. So even if people around you, the professionals that you pay, the mentors that you have, they're well-intentioned, but at the end of the day, Kanica, you're the one that's not sleeping because of XYZ problem in your business.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming into our podcast today. For anyone who wants to connect you or with you or find you, I think there is the website, Sofa Sexology. Thank you so much. Kanica, thank you for coming to our show. It was lovely to have you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.